Welcome back to the London Travel Podcast. I'm Jordanelle. Last time, we finished my series on the British Museum and some of its controversial artifacts, and this time we are going to discuss the change. This week we are going to change the pace a little bit and talk about another really cool place that I went when I was in London, the Tower of London. The Tower of London is one of the most famous structures in London and one of the most famous historic prisons. However, it was not actually designed to be a prison. The Tower of London was originally just containing of the White Tower, which was designed by William the Conqueror as a battlement to protect London in 1066. It's a really old castle. It is one of the only remaining complete 11th century fortress palaces in Europe, which is such a cool sentence, but also just a really cool fact in general. Its first use as a prison was in the year 1100 when King Henry I became king. Ranulph Flambard, the Bishop of Durham, was the first prisoner of the Tower of London for the assassination of King Henry's brother William II. Flambard later escaped the Tower of London. The Tower of London has a huge history of holding prisoners and having daring escapes from the Tower of London. Not all that were successful. The tower has been used for various reasons over the years, outside of just being a prison and a battlement. At one point, it was the home to the royal family. It was a safeguard for the crown jewels of England, and it even housed a zoo at one point. Highlights of the Tower of London today include touring the crown jewels of England and interacting with the Beefeaters, which is a special order of guards who today give tours and protect the Tower of London. They're like security guards, and they wear these really cool uniforms, which I guess some people could think are silly, but I don't know, I think it adds to the historical context and makes for the tour experience all that more exciting for families, especially children. Getting to see children run around and play was so cool, and I loved getting to see people interact with history. On a different note, the torture chamber in the Tower of London looms with the death and devastation to this day. And honestly, it was very eerie to even walk into, and I went running up the steps out of it, to be completely honest. The torture chamber has a replica of the rack, which was a notable torture device used in the Tower of London, where the prisoner's hands and legs were tied to opposing sides and poles, and then the bindings were pulled, inflicting pain, which honestly just really sounds like it hurts. So, ouch. The last executions in the Tower of London were Simon Fraser in 1745 for his involvement in the Scottish Jacobite Rebellion, 11 German spies from World War I, and Joseph Jacobs in 1941. The Tower of London was heavily bombed during World War II, so it was not used very much in World War II at all. 1941 was the last time there was an execution done in the tower, and the tower today is used as a tourist attraction and is the home of the crown jewels of England. Not only that, but there are tons of cool ghost stories that are told in the Tower of London as well. There's also the ceremony of the keys and a bunch of other traditions. In a castle that old, there's going to be traditions and there's going to be ghost stories, and they are so cool. One of these traditions is the story of the Tower Ravens. Legend has it that if the ravens ever leave the tower and the country will fall, and their ravens coming every year is a sign of prosperity. They do this really cool festival for the ravens and all of that in London, and it is really cool. One of the most famous stories from the Tower of London is that of Anne Boleyn, which I'm not going to get into, but you can research it on your own time, or hear it when you go visit the Tower of London yourself. And another one is the story of the little princes. Legend has it that when Edward IV died, Edward V, at age 12, ascended to the throne, and his little brother was the next in line. But the Duke of Gloucester was a jealous man and wanted to inherit the crown for himself. So he succeeded in ascending to the throne by making the princes ineligible to inherit the crown, and then they mysteriously disappeared. Later, the remains of 2 princes were found in an urn hidden in the tower. Spooky, right? Anyway, there's so much to learn about the Tower of London. I spent over 3 hours touring it. But now that you know a little bit more about it, we can talk about something that I'm sure a lot of you are probably very interested in, the crown jewels of England. So, in our next episode, we will discuss that. And if you want more information about the Tower of London, check out the sources for this episode or go visit it yourself. It is definitely a stop if you ever travel to London. Thank you. Have a good day.